Good day. This is Mark Castle at castlecoaching.com. Welcome to today's episode. It's been a few weeks. All of the previous videos that I've put on for the last couple of weeks have been videos that I recorded over the summer. And although that they are all really good, and I enjoyed putting them up and having some backup ones, because I was, kind of weirded out and under the weather and all those things, which is probably not a good excuse. Probably one of the better things to have done would have been actually to have done these videos and talked through it all. But I will talk about the fact that it is, this is recorded on January 4th, 2021. We are now into a new year. And of course, as many people have talked about over this period of time, over these last few weeks of the holidays and everything, is that, they're all excited about the new year and etc. and so on. And I guess I'm excited about the new year. To me, it just feels like another day. And I think that that's a good thing. One of the things I talk about on this channel all the time is about living in the present moment. And to me, it's a measurement of time. I said the other day to a couple of people, I said, what's interesting is that if the calendar was designed differently, then that moment in time wouldn't be the significance of that moment in time. So is that really a moment in time? Or have I completely lost you, or am I going way too ethereal at the moment? And I could be that. But I think that the most important or the most valuable part of this particular part of the conversation that I'm having today is about that it is the present moment, and it is good to have hope, but nothing magically disappeared from the radar as with the fact that we went from 2020 to 2021. Everybody, I remember a year ago, everybody was so excited about 2020 because 2019 had been a rather rough year. Well, 2019 was quite the calm before the storm, and nothing really completely compared to what we experienced in 2020. And of course, it's not over yet. Upheaval is not over yet. And that's cool. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's cool. And I'll tell you right now why. Because we need some upheaval. We need some bottoming out in order for things to really change. There's currently something going on right now with the election, not that there hasn't been something going on with the election for a long time, but this is the first week of January, and there's some rebellion going on and all kinds of things which are, very anti-democratic. They're absolutely anti-democratic, but it does really now separate the boys from the men again. Who's going to go down that road? Who's going to go down that road? It's a bad road. It's a very bad road. And it wouldn't be a good idea to do it. But then again, how do we know? How do we know? If you have been following me on this channel or listen to anything that I have to say, one of the things that I talk about is I'm always talking from grander perspective as well as what may be currently going on. And so, and I've talked about this many times, I've talked about the fact that, I don't know what the grander scheme is. For example, let's talk about drinking. I drank for a while in my life, not as long as some people, longer than others. And then I stopped. And as the result of programs, I have stayed sober for over 35 years. And so, if you were a witness to me during those years when I was drinking, looking at it in the pinpoint moment, you would go, ooh, I don't want to be around this guy. But all of those things had to happen in order for me to get to the point or to the bottom of that emotional breakdown in order to surrender and go a different path. So once again, how would anybody have known that in the midst of my insanity in the late 70s and early 80s? They would probably have said, Mark, you're just a mess. And they did. But then I stopped being a mess. Or not as bad of a mess, shall we say. And now I'm pretty not a mess at all anymore. But the point being is that 40 years ago, if someone knew me, they probably would go, oh my God. And 40 years later, 35 years sober, they're going, yeah, he's a pretty good guy. So that means that we don't know. I don't know what's good or bad for you or for anyone. I love to help. I love to guide people. I love to give my perspective, which I think is a pretty good perspective, and I also think that I'm pretty intuitive about people. But after that action is done, then I have to step back. Because I don't know. I don't know what the grander picture is for you. I'm willing to help, be part of that grand picture, but I don't know wholeheartedly. And that's such a good place to be. That's such a good place to be, that I don't know. Oh my God. When we look at what's going on here, and it's tragic. I mean, there's no other way of describing it. It's frigging tragic what we have done here in the last year. It's just horrible. But it's a manifestation of something much greater. And, and COVID is not the only issue going on. There are so many other issues going on that are just as deadly as the one that makes the headlines every day. And the one that's killing a lot of people at the moment and causing major financial strain on most everybody. And major emotional meltdowns to a significant amount of the population. And it's horrible. It's absolutely beyond horrible that this is what's happening. You know, and at the same time, what is the broader perspective? I don't know what that is. My hope, my inner belief, is that something magical will come from this bottoming out of society. But who knows? How much farther down the rabbit hole does society have to go? And do you see how, when I talk about this, it's really, society is just a grander thing of what we are currently going through. You know, there was an interesting quote, it must have been a meme or something I saw the other day, that one cannot call themselves healthy if all around them is a lot of unhealthiness. And all around all of us is a lot of unhealthiness. You know, and I still have unhealthiness myself. You know, there are parts that I really would love to and am addressing more. And it's, how do I say this? My point is that we don't know. We absolutely don't know the grander scheme. So, what can I do in the present moment? Once again, what can I do in the present moment? And I think the thing that I want to say about that today is something I heard recently from somebody, and they said that they were taught to do the mundane magnificently. And I know for myself, and I've actually done a video on mundane. I don't know if I've ever published it, but I did do a video on the mundane, and I probably will do some more of that. But one of the things that I have come to terms with, particularly in this last year of being in semi-lockdown since March, and it's now January 4th, is owning up to the mundane of life, which I have always wanted to avoid. And one of the things that's most interesting in the fact that I have owned it and started to embrace it in a way that I've never embraced it before, I'm in a really good space. I'm in one of the best spaces I've been in a long time. And I know underneath that, all of that, so much of that is a direct result of my Ho'oponopono practice that I faithfully do every day. And sometimes it's real intense, and sometimes it's real chill, and sometimes it's not. I'm not writing very much, but I do the prayers. And I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing the peace come over me as I let go of things that are none of my business. Things that are disconnecting me from my source. And it's the only thing that I can say that has been so thoroughly helpful. to me in creating where I am today. In summary, grander scheme, focus on the present moment, learn to appreciate the mundane, and know that we don't know. And know that we don't know what's right. And that is a very uncomfortable place for most of us, because the ego wants to be right. I have opinions. I have opinions. I have expressed those opinions, and I will continue to do so. But when it's all said and done, I still have to step back and say, I don't know. Thank you so much for listening. Merci beaucoup. A bientôt. Bonne journée.